Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mary Ann Clark, the initial visionary, and one of the co-founders of AllPUR Nutrition, Inc., which was formed as a woman-owned company. I relayed my interpretation of the market need for a truly healthy beverage to my husband, George, who is a biochemist and out-of-the-box thinker. Always ready for a new challenge, he went to work discovering new beverage technologies that resulted in patent awards and formulations for almost every current beverage category. Now, however, our board has decided that we need to add an accomplished CEO to lead AllPUR into the future and profitability. So at this time, I wish to thank Pepperdine for the honor of including us as one of the most fundable companies. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Rich O'Neill, who will be our new CEO.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Ann. I also want to thank Pepperdine for hosting this event. Let me walk you through, and someone will have to give me a nudge if I go long. AllPUR is built around the production of healthy, chemical-free, low-calorie, low-carb, carbonated, non-alcoholic drinks that are nutritious and refreshing. Our scientist, George Clark, who invented a lot of these products, has a number of patents that he has held relative to this family of beverages. Some of these patents have expired, but there are new patent pending applications for everything that you're going to see today. So we have two drinks that we are initially producing. ZAP, which is a working title, not necessarily the final title, is a nutritious soft drink alternative aimed at teens. So I think everybody here knows there's massive soda consumption in the US, there's massive obesity problems in the US, and this is designed to be a healthy alternative to sodas. Revite 25 is a high complete protein, and what's significant about that is there are very few beverages or foods on the planet that are actually complete proteins that contain all 9 of the amino acids that are necessary to sustain life. So Revite 25 is a high complete protein supplement and energy enhancement beverage that is aimed at older teens and millennials primarily, but it has an interesting aspect as well. We will relabel this and brand it and sell it to the elderly population as a meal supplement. It's a full meal replacement. It has all the nutrients that you would want to have in a single meal. The US and the rest of the world suffering from an obesity epidemic substantially fueled by soda consumption. We'll put some statistics up on that in a minute. And in the energy drink field, where Revite 25 competes, many energy drinks are actually caffeine, and they stimulate the brain. They have zero nutritional value. They cause you to think that you are getting replenished or refreshed. They speed you up, but they are not actually healthy for you. They don't do anything for you. They just increase brain alertness. But as I say, no nutrients, and do not rejuvenate muscle cells, which also get burned out after even moderate exercise. This is very interesting from our standpoint for what the market is. So this drink called ZAP, the soft drink, soft drinks have basically been banned from US schools due to school hours, due to the fact that they are unhealthy. The USDA will not allow them in most schools to be in place. There's a handful of exceptions to that rule. There are 25 million middle and high school students in the United States. 15% of these students drink at least one soda a day, 7 days a week, right? So, but they can't get their soda fix. They like the carbonation, they like the sugar. They cannot get that in school. We can sell our product in schools. When I move through this deck, you'll see a little later, there was actually a predecessor product produced by this team that received USDA approval and was in schools and was in retail stores. In a certain regard, this effort is a startup. In the US obesity rate, you can see 18%. The US soda market is $200 billion annually. Now, our other drink here, Revite 25, in the US protein drink market is $6.7 billion. The energy drink market is $13.4 billion. This drink is patent pending and provides 50%. Oh, geez, I've got a long ways to go. Okay, so I'm going to now read all of this. We have created a patented feedstock based on skim milk, lactose-free, chemical-free, enzyme-free. Nobody else makes anything like this. We have distribution partners already in our mix. We will also be producing dry powder in the third year. We intend to move into a royalty model after we establish commercial volumes and commercial viability in our first plant. And these are all protected under patent pending technologies. Developed at Cornell by George and Mary Ann Clark and Virginia Tech. It's been approved by various places like the Joslin Diabetes Research Foundation, the John Stalker Institute. The prior incarnation of this venture was already in schools, was already in stores, and we have favorable sensory information on over 5,000 students. We have a specialized team, our equipment to build this. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've built 5 companies. Several of them have gone to multi-million dollars. Mary Ann Clark, who you met, is a co-investor, along with her husband, George, who's the chief scientist. We have a retail partner team that handled the distribution of the prior product into the grocery stores. They are minor equity partners in this venture. Prior funding in the prior effort, $1.8 million in loans, $400,000 in equity. We're looking right now for just a seed round of $350,000. It's got some specific uses. And we are going to do this, use the money to service a continuing equipment lease, finalize a production partner, and to fund some market research and just for operating development. Okay, that's it. I think I made my deadline.
Our company, Beyond Brands Group, was formed to pursue the license with Southern Living Magazine, based out of Birmingham, Alabama, to open retail stores and an e-commerce website, bringing the pages of Southern Living Magazine to life. Southern Living Magazine has 18 million unique people they touch every month through 3 million print subscribers, digital content, social media. We want to be the place they go to fill that need of product that's featured in the magazine. They have 5 pillars that are home, food, fashion, travel, and gardening. Our merchandise assortment is based on those 5 pillars. They've actually helped us curate our product. They go to market with us. They bring us new vendors they found and local artisans, which help us bring a local flavor to every market we go into. When we began to pursue this, we identified that we belonged in the gift and home decor market. That's almost an $18 billion market in retail sales. It's been growing at 4% a year since 2012. There's 16,000 companies in this space. Sounds like a lot, and it is, but no company owns more than 5% market share. The average unit volume of a store is about 1.1 million. We felt there was a huge opportunity across 15 states to leverage the brand Southern Living and become a force in the marketplace and build a name and build a juggernaut of brick and mortar retail and e-commerce sales. It's interesting because somebody talked about arts and science. Retail, it's a business, but it's really an art. And if you think about it, it's entertainment if it's done right. I get emotional. I've been a retailer all my life. Our goal, our business model is to open 75 retail, gift and home decor brick and mortar stores across 15 states. We've identified the marketplaces based on the data we received from Southern Living Magazine. We want to provide an experiential shopping experience. Everybody says that. We live and breathe it. We try to find vendors that give back to the community. We educate our salespeople. When you get to be 60, you get to this way. I have a 75-year-old woman who works with us in Destin, Florida. The last time I was in that store, she brought me a catalog from Southern Living home parties She said, I want you to take this, I want you to look at it, but you have to bring it back. I've had it since 2001. It's when I fell in love with Southern Living. She's my best salesperson. On any given Tuesday in September, she'll sell $1,200 to one person because she loves it, she believes it, and she lives it every day. And our goal is to have a brick and mortar presence so that people know who we are. They go in. Our goal is to engage our customer, educate our customer, and evoke a memory about the time-honored Southern traditions. We're a unique place, the South. We want to honor our traditions, but we also recognize it's a new modern Southern world, and everybody wants to move there. So anyway, some of the products, everybody look, we got pretty pictures. They're all out of our stores. I want to brag for 1 second. We met with Southern Living at the end of August 2016. We had a working agreement on 10/1/2016. We opened our first store November 10th, 2016. We opened 4 more in the next year, and we launched our e-commerce website, and we reached over close to $3 million in sales in that first year. It took a lot. It took a lot. My daughter prays every night that my parents don't go nuts. Here's our management team. I'm Bill Love. I'm the CEO. I have 30 years of retail merchandising and wholesale merchandising brand building experience. I took a brand from 0 to 35 million in 18 months based on a rapper and his son. My wife, Christy Love, is our corporate executive vice president. She's got 32 years of retail merchandising and brand building experience, currently runs a $40 million cost business selling Dillard's department stores for a New York manufacturer. Richard Gudson is our president of stores. He was the initial guy who had the idea, and he said, I'm too old to build a chain. I only want 4. I said, let's do it together. We've been friends for 35 years. Let's give it a go. Bo Green's our young guy. He understands technology. He helps us on the e-commerce side. He's run a technology company before. He was actually named by Franchise Magazine as one of the top 25 young entrepreneurs to watch. We're looking for $1.5 million in return for a 15% equity stake. It would allow us to open 5 stores a year as opposed to 3. We could invest in more merchandising support, e-commerce support. Currently, I contract with an e-commerce firm to do all my marketing. I need somebody who can talk to them every day, understands their language, and then I need some extra marketing support as well. We would pay a 15% dividend, 15% of the profits not used for expansion annually, and you'd retain or sell at another round. I'm also open to any other investment amounts or discussion of debt. That's my contact information. I'll flip through that one. Our key differentiator is we have a passion for what we do. We love it. We want to have a true atmosphere of Southern hospitality in our stores. We want you to come in, and we do want to evoke a memory. We want to engage, educate, and evoke a memory. That is our stores. They're beautiful. That's the first store. I can't believe we did it. Bless your heart.
Thank you for selecting us as one of the most fundable companies, and thank you for Pepperdine for hosting this event. It's a fantastic event. We're proud to be here. And there's a time constraint, so I need to move quick. Our product, beers and wines, problems that we saw, there's a lot of mainstream brewers and winemakers that over the years they've had basically lowest common denominator. There wasn't a lot of variety in the market. And I had spent some time in Europe, and I saw the full flavored wines and beers that they had, the wide variety that they had, and I wanted to bring that to the States. I also saw a different culture that was over there in terms of how beers and wines were viewed. It was viewed as a catalyst to a great meal and as a way for people to gather and get together, as opposed to something when you were 21 years old that you would go out and overconsume and put it into a funnel. So that's what we want to do, is we want to educate. There's been a lot that's been going on a grassroots level where customers are learning more. We've done a lot of these events. People show up and they've learned a little, but they want to know a lot. And so we want to make education part of what we're doing. The craft beer market, from an overview, it's the beer market as a whole in the United States, it's down 1.7%. No, it's going backwards. The craft beer market is $20 billion currently, and it's still growing at a double-digit pace. The California wine market, which we're focusing on California varietals, Cabs, Zins, Chardonnays, Petit Syrahs, et cetera, that's growing at a 4% rate, and it's $35 billion annually right now. A little bit different, we have a focus on, we're gonna have some traditional distribution, but we wanna do a lot of direct-to-consumer. It's basically unmined right now in the beer side, and on the wine side, it's the most sought-after prize, but it's in its early infancy. There's a lot of people that are trying to get direct-to-consumer models. They want to have the relationship directly with their customers to be able to do what we're talking about, educating them and helping them understand what they like, where they should pair it with, what type of recipes it would work with. And so we want to spend a fair amount of time in that space to mine customers and develop those relationships. Our business model, I looked at a bunch of different types of things in terms of how they're constructed. At its core, we're a purpose-driven organization. So we want to change some of the culture. We want to be a positive influence in the communities where we operate, and we're to the people that we sell. And so we're going to have a combination of direct-to-consumer with tasting room and online retail, as well as some traditional distribution, business to business, to the distributor, to the retailer. Because we feel that we're making a positive influence in the world, there's a quote by Marianne Williamson that I think about all the time. And I think it's important in that your playing small does not serve the world. And I think that goes to all the entrepreneurs that are in here today. Your playing small does not serve the world. You got to challenge yourself, you got to confront your fears, and you got to go for it. We do it by, we donate to a lot of hospitals and Weave, Women Escaping a Violent Environment. And our passion is we also work with a lot of animal rescue organizations, SPCA, Hearts for Paws, et cetera. So we have a goal, 10,000 animals. For the numbers guys in here, that's going to equate to about $10 million in sales over the next 5 years. Milestones for us, it took a bit of doing, but we've obtained undisputable trademarks in Class 32 for beers, wines, and sodas, and Class 33 for wines. We'll be able to extend the beers one next year through 2029. The wine one was just granted an extension through 2028. So we own the, I got 1 minute, so we're gonna move forward. Management team, myself, my wife. Right now we have corporate advisors. Jay Bempke handles our legal, and he's got about 20 years experience in wine and intellectual property. Brad Heisler's been our trademark attorney, so he maintains the mark, makes sure they're renewed and they're protected. And if there's anybody out there that's infringing on the marks, he's our pit bull. So he'll talk to him. We have Sean Quinn, who's got 25 plus years in terms of business planning, economic development. And then we've added 2 advisors on beer distribution, and Steve Lindsay, Kevin Furphy on the beer distribution, Steve Lindsay on the wine distribution. Short term, we're looking for about $125,000. In the next 12 months, it's going to be used for a tasting room and the direct-to-consumer program. Long term, that's going to be for scaling up our production and so forth. That's going to be out in 24, 36 months. Contact information, it's there, and I believe all of this is going to be up on the Pepperdine website. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Yes, so everybody can find the contact information there as well. We'll be at the table as well. Charitable giving, we hit that. And then for a fun slide, there's some of the guys that we've rescued. Duke was the original one, all the saints and their buddies. So that's our fun-loving slide for the day. Take that unconditional love with you as you move through your day. And we will hopefully see you and get to talk to everybody later today. Thank you.
I'm Bill McMeans, and this is about dynamic extrusion. We thought we'd do a little film to explain this, and then afterwards I'm going to run through 17 slides in about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so pay attention. For decades, feed and supplement producers have worked to meet the needs of livestock growers and solve one basic problem: how to get a range cube with high levels of protein and fat to their livestock without it breaking into dust before it can be consumed by their animals. This crumbling is due to an outdated manufacturing process that requires nutritionless binders and fillers to be added to make conventional cubes stick together. Millions of dollars have been drained from livestock growers' wallets over the years with poor returns on their feed bills. Through these years, feed and supplement producers have struggled to effectively use dried distillers grains as an ingredient. While very desirable for nutritional content, dried distillers grains are exceptionally difficult to transport and deploy to livestock due to windage and trample loss. Dynamic Extrusion has the technology to solve this decades-long problem and is ready to disrupt the status quo of livestock feed and supplement production. We have the value-added process that takes dry distillers grains and uses patented extrusion technology to create a premium feed and supplement cube. These cubes contain 0 binders and 0 fillers. The resulting product has the highest protein and fat content in the market, with a cube we guarantee will not crumble. Texas ranchers maintain more than 2.6 million head of cattle within 200 miles of our initial proposed plant. They're faced with the age-old problems of droughts, poor quality feeds, poor supplements, and a finite amount of time to beef up their herds. Feeding conventional cubes that are low in protein and have only 2% fat and contain up to 40% peanut shells and other fillers have been the standard play call until now. Supplementing their feed cubes with our 30% protein, 10% fat product, and again, no fillers or binders, is a proven efficiency gain and cost savings. The decision to add dynamic extrusion feed and supplement products will be easy. Dynamic Extrusion is poised for rapid market entry, aided by opportunities already in place with multiple retail outlets, bulk sales opportunities, game feed opportunities in both retail and bulk. All accompanied by testimonials from Midwest ranchers and Texas big game managers who have already benefited from the product. The decision for investors could not be easier. Our equipment turns raw material from a $120 a ton commodity into a $300 to $600 per ton premium feed at 4.5 tons per hour with minimal downtime. Dynamic Extrusion's experienced team has proven diversity of entrepreneurship skills and project management. Dynamic Extrusion is raising $9 million for equipment acquisition and startup capital. The founding member is contributing capital for plant site, working capital, and equipment licensing, and a management team that is totally incentivized by profit margin alone. All right, so we did go with the low bidder on the voiceover. I want y'all to know that. I am gonna point out some important slides here. We're poised to enter a $300 billion marketplace. We've actually gone out and helped the OEM. I was an original investor with the OEM about 12 years ago to bring it to market fruition. There are 4 plants up and running around the rest of the country that are doing very well. We think we're gonna bring a proprietary process. We're going to bring proprietary formulations that are not available in terms of nutritional profiles out there that the existing plants have not pursued. And we're going to, we believe it's probably not patentable. We have a proprietary marketing scheme in terms of how we're going after retail and game feed. We're going to maximize margins in market niches. What else I'd like to point out, there's plenty of raw materials. The ethanol industry produces 35 to 40 million tons of distillers grains annually. We're also working on the next technological development to take brewers and distillers grains from breweries and distillers and dry them and turn them into, but that's a next step technology. We think that in the state of Texas alone, our initial plant is expandable by about 10x. Again, a lot of this great stuff. Please go read this. You'll be amazed what you find out about cattle feed and big game and how nutrition is important to them. We've already done quite a bit of milestones in terms of our 9 million. We essentially have 2 million either in or committed from investors currently. I'm probably in this for about 2 million outside of that, just so you know. And we anticipate on this first plant, we'll have investor payback in 24 to 36 months. We'll have multiple reinvestment opportunities. It's a cash flow design. We'll provide whatever transparency and reporting. I've been down this path several times. And lastly, I will say this. My Chief of Staff, Nathan Kaspar, is here. I've got to take off. My principal reason I am maintaining my equity share in this, it's my primary vehicle for the charitable causes I want to give to. And the first one of those, my wife and I put in an artificial field at my son's high school, and the dedication is tomorrow night. We lost our son in 2015, and it's our first bucket we filled up. We're looking to fill up a lot more. That's it.
Thank you so much, Pepperdine Graziadio. It's such an honor to be here today. Thank you all. So EV Safe Charge, I started the company when I got an electric vehicle for the environment, and the dealer didn't provide much in the way of how to get a charger and how to get one installed. I thought others would have this problem, and they do, and that's how the company was started. So we're enabling the EV revolution. A major shift is occurring away from fossil fuels. EV is playing a really big role in helping that happen. EVs are now making the transition from niche to mainstream. We're solving one of the major barriers to entry to mass EV adoption, which is the charging fear that people have. And we're committed to green actions such as planting trees with the Arbor Day Foundation for every charger we sell and install. There are massive unmet needs in the marketplace. So rapid EV adoption is really creating the need for EV charging infrastructure. Customers need guidance on all sorts of things. Installation support from the automotive OEMs and the auto dealers today is lacking, and then the infrastructure is lacking for large and small events that take place in mobile locations. So EV Safe Charge is the solution. We have commercial installation services for businesses, schools, fleets, consulting services to help companies navigate the many issues, home installations for residential and partnerships with OEMs and dealership groups. And then we just launched the first comprehensive mobile EV charging solution with level 2 and DC fast chargers in the field. And we just got permission from Jaguar Land Rover to say that we launched with them. So we're around the country providing the charging for all of the events that are happening right now for the launch of the iPace. And we're soon launching a proprietary app that's going to be useful for all EV drivers in partnership with a global tier 1 supplier. The marketplace that is coming is absolutely staggering with 900% growth rate. We're projecting 5 million EV charging points needed in the US in the next few years. Every major automotive OEM has announced that their future is electric. Countries and cities around the world are banning the internal combustion engine by fast approaching dates. States and cities are requiring EV charging infrastructure in new construction, and commercial fleets are converting to electric today. So we make money on equipment sales and installation, rental revenue from our mobile EV charging solutions, consulting services, and then recurring revenue through our upcoming mobile app and the networked EV chargers that are out in the marketplace. So why invest in us? We're positioned as the leading expert to capitalize on this hyper-growth opportunity. We are a one-stop shop for charger selection, installation, maintenance. We're charger and software agnostic, which our customers absolutely love because we deliver the very best solution for their needs. We're not tied to any one company. Our consultative approach educates and really takes away frustration. And we're a trusted source to provide clarity in a marketplace today that really has a lot of confusion. And we are totally focused on the customer experience, providing custom solutions, anything they need, and it's a truly white glove customer service experience. One call to us and everything gets taken care of. We launched recently, built an infrastructure and a top-notch team. A couple of the members are here today. Established close relationships with leading companies, achieving top SEO rankings. So if you search anything related to EV charging installation, rental, consulting, we're literally right at the top of natural search. Managed California's first electric school bus charging infrastructure, initiated our consulting services, and then again, first to market with this comprehensive rental solution that's really needed. And there are a couple of our strategic relationship with the world's leading companies providing the technology. Here are a few of our deployments. So that's the one for Jaguar. This is the California school buses. Here's one of the Penske location installations we did. That's Mercedes-Benz of San Diego. Recognition, so today's award, which is so meaningful, we were named a 2017 Top 10 Startup from the Los Angeles Auto Show, Automobility LA, and we've received a great amount of press and a nice certificate of recognition from the California State Assembly. We have a really, really dedicated, enthusiastic management team, and a few of us are here today. We have a very active advisory board. We have regular meetings. We get a lot of advice. I'll name a couple of people. Adam Perlow left Kia, having brought it up to 550,000 cars sold and $14 billion in sales, and he'll be joining us as COO. Ian Beavis is head of strategy at one of the world's largest automotive marketing companies, AMCI, that's owned by Omnicom Group, and others. We're raising $3 million. We need to hire additional team members, launch marketing initiatives. Everything we've accomplished to date has been just with partnerships and word of mouth, no actual paid marketing. Further develop our proprietary products and infrastructure, and move rapidly to capitalize on our first mover advantage. Thank you so much, and I look forward to answering any questions and speaking with you after. Thank you.
Imagine the next time you go to reach for something cold in the refrigerator, you saw this. And you're knocked back. Hi, I'm Allende, and we are nedl, the search engine for live audio broadcast. And just like that fridge experience, you've never seen anything like what we're about to show you today. This is Renee. Renee is Jamaican American. She loves music. She considers herself a music fanatic. Somebody just downloaded nedl. And she listens to radio every single day. But radio is more than just music. It's how she finds out about her hometown sports team, the Golden Knights. It's how she finds out about the world around her. And the only problem is she hates going from station to station to find what it is that she wants to listen to. And so, fortunately, nedl is actually featured in the App Store. So one night, after a long day, she plopped herself down on the couch and she discovered our app. And she put it to the test. She wanted to find her favorite artist from Jamaica, Movado. And so she typed it in, and not only was she able to search 120,000 radio stations in real time to find it, she found it playing on in a couple of different places. And then she really wanted to put nedl to the test. So she typed in the Golden Knights and wanted to see who is talking about the Golden Knights at this moment. And not only that, but what was the context of what was being said before she even clicked on a result.
Twice in the span of 3 minutes. Fox Sports 98.9. Golden Knights go on to double up the Jets 4-2.
So just like Renee, you're no longer having to go from station to station to find what it is that you want to listen to. So she's thrilled about this, but she's even more thrilled with the rest of her exploration of the app. She's able to touch that button on the bottom and go live with her own words. And when she speaks, every word that she says gets indexed in real time so people can find her. And so because nedl is live on Alexa, and Alexa's in all these places, she is able to go live just like she's on the radio. So we're really proud to show you what we've just shown you, and what you've just seen is the world's first keyword-powered search engine for live audio broadcast. Thank you. Let's get back to Renee for a second, because the thing about Renee is she's not alone. There's over 247 million Renees just like her who listen to radio on a daily basis. And it's a huge market. 4.3 billion people listen to radio. Radio is the #1 music discovery mechanism. And it's also adored by people who have a deep connection with their host. And 92% of millennials, that's right, millennials listen to radio on a weekly basis, up 10% because of news. Now, everybody knows podcasting is huge, right? But how many of us really realize that podcasting earned $220 million last year, globally? And actually, everybody also knows that Sirius satellite radio is huge as well. $5.4 billion of revenue. The big kahuna on this page is AM/FM. $44.1 billion, but not everybody listens to radio, let's just be honest. Only 94% in the US. So here's how it works. A user goes to nedl, they enter a keyword, and we search a real-time database on the far right of over 120,000 radio stations and needlecasters on the left, on top, and we match that keyword with the real-time natural language processing of what's been, of our analysis to deliver the stream to the person so they can listen to what they wanted to hear. Now, here's how we make money. We charge radio stations, small and large, broadcasters, small and large, to take all of their audio and make it searchable. But I have a confession to make. That previous architecture I just showed you, it would be $7 million a day if we put 120,000 radio stations through it. So we don't do that. We put it right through the device itself. And so this is what it looks like when a radio station signs up for a subscription. Instantly, they touch one button and they go live with every word they say being indexed in real time. The landscape is exciting. We've got Spoon out of Korea, who raised $17 million on a $100 million valuation. And Periscope, and both of these are moving into the space right now that we've been in for about a year and a half. They're moving into this space to do audio-only user-generated content, but neither have searchable, thank you, neither have searchable keyword, searchability by keyword, and neither elevate the broadcaster to professional status instantly by embedding them, their words right in with the other professional broadcasters on our platform. And we've got other players in the marketplace, but none of them allow you to have create your own broadcast, nor do they allow you to have proprietary speech recognition search. And so I would know. I'm 20 years in radio, created the first iHeartRadio app, and my partner and I have worked together for the last 6 years. This is our second startup together, and that guy's no schlep. He actually built the first instant messaging app for live broadcast radio. And together, since we've started this, we've been kicking butt. So we've acquired over 120,000 radio stations, including all those brands there. We've already generated data and subscription sales. And in addition to this amazing opportunity, we've been honored by the National Association of Broadcasters Pilot Innovation Challenge and won $20,000 there. Last slide. We're not stopping there. In the next 12 months, we're going to be scaling up our subscription and distribution, getting after our ad dollars, and getting up to 1 million searches per month. Now, we're raising a $1.2 million seed round, and I'm really proud to say that as of today, we've just closed $1 million of that. Thank you. So, what Google did for text, we're doing for live audio broadcasts. Come join us. Thank you.
I'm Eric Keelan, I'm the CEO of Neuvokas Corporation. I'm excited to be here. I'd like to thank Pepperdine and all of you for showing up today. We're flattered, we're excited, and we're humbled. And it's now my privilege to present Neuvokas Corporation. We've got it rocking and rolling. We've developed a process to produce basalt fiber reinforced polymer rebar at a lower cost than steel rebar, and we're leveraging this advantage to capture a significant share of the global $174 billion rebar market. Did you ever notice how much of our reinforced concrete infrastructure is falling apart, literally crumbling from within? The bulk of this failure is created by a chemical reaction between water, oxygen, and steel creates rust. The rust expands, cracks the concrete around it. Add steel reinforcement, and we build structures that are guaranteed to fail. Think about that for a little bit. The practice of rebuilding bridges and other major infrastructure every 40 years is not sustainable and cannot be continued. FRP rebar allows these structures to be built without the worry of failure created by corrosion. To date, FRP rebar's single Achilles heel has been its high price point, and Neuvokas has changed that. We can produce a lower cost, faster to install, direct replacement for steel rebar to provide the world with longer lasting concrete structures. Our brand is Gator Bar. We're building a vertically, whoops, I went one past, sorry about that. I gotta keep this so squirrels don't run by and I get distracted, all right? The total available market is around 174 billion, depending on the going commodity rates. Right now, it's about 200 billion. Our serviceable market, which is concrete placed on the ground, whether it's a slab or a pavement, is about 70 billion. There are quite a few competitors and competitive technologies within our space. We choose to focus on the largest, which is steel rebar. And we're confident that with the correct partners, we can capture 30 billion of this market by the year 2035. We're building a vertically integrated manufacturing company to produce construction commodities. We're going to market through wholesale distribution. The milestones we've passed in the last 5 years are significant. We've proven we can raise capital, develop advanced manufacturing processes, develop markets, capture sales, capture repeat sales and distribution, and protect our technology with IP. We've completed the first phase of our evolution, rebar production. We've taken a process that runs at 7 feet a minute, and we've ramped it to 150 feet a minute. That's 23x, and we have 35x on the very near horizon. We're now raising capital to develop internally produced fiber. This will allow us to improve the quality and control the supply of our single largest direct input, basalt fiber. Most importantly, producing this fiber internally will allow us to reduce its cost by over 75%. When you understand that 80% of our finished goods is basalt fiber, controlling this supply is absolutely crucial to supporting global scaling. We have a scale-appropriate management team. We keep our burn to an absolute minimum. We recognize that we'll need to add additional talent as we continue to scale. We've leveraged our investment partners for non-cash contributions to this point and look for similar contributions from any potential partner that we may vet. To date, we raised over $6 million, and as of yesterday, it's now 8. So that was pretty cool. And it's non-dilutive. Thank you on that one. We've used this funding to build our process, suppliers, inventory, brand, markets, facilities. We got 32,000 square feet that'll be in service here shortly, and prepare for phase 2. We're now seeking $10 million, check, make that 8, to develop internal fiber production and to accelerate our growth. This will allow us to secure our fiber supply, reduce its cost by over 75%, and produce a lower cost, superior alternative to steel rebar. We're looking for partners. Won't you please join us? I'd like to thank all of you for your time and attention. We have complete business plans and presentations available should anybody be interested in learning more.
My name is Jim Sanfilippo. I'm the president, founder, and CEO of Nila. We do LED lighting for broadcast and television. He's bringing everybody in. So broadcast television is where we started over a decade ago. So we've been shipping LED product for over a decade. This is one of our installations. We lit the U.S. House of Representatives in 2010. Since that time frame, this installation has paid for itself over 5 times in energy savings. Our mission is all about that. So environmental sustainability is why I started the company. It is core to how we design products to be the most efficient and deliver the most amount of light to the subject needed. Again, one of our installations, this is here in California, Masters University. This facility has paid for itself twice in 3 years. Another one of our installations, this is our expansion market. So film and television is where we started. We started with our first customer was the James Bond movie, Quantum of Solace. So all of the driving shots in Quantum of Solace, they used our lights for durability, the energy savings, because they were running them off of batteries. Energy savings is not the top reason that the StubHub Center installed our lights. They did it so that they could replace the lights that were failing. The lights were 15 years old and they could no longer get spare parts, and they wanted something to engage the customers with. So now they do a light show before the game and at halftime. This installation, we're saving them 62% energy from where they were before with the metal halides, and it's 15% more light on the field. So our solution at the core being environmentally sustainable, that energy efficiency is one of the top things that we focus on. but it is not the reason that people buy our product. They buy our product for color quality, durability, the quantity of light that we're delivering for the power draw in. So news agencies use our lights for battery operations when they're on location. So this particular installation, the slide's a little cut off, TV Globo, they added a 12th story onto an existing building in Rio. They didn't have enough energy. The power company wouldn't give them any more energy to light the studio. The studio has 30 meters of glass. It looks out over Rio. To compete with daylight, they needed a lot of energy, or they needed us. We light the whole entire studio. That was 5 years ago we lit that. Another one of our installations, you might recognize this room from recent things in the news. So we light 6 rooms for the US Senate. All of those rooms have paid for themselves multiple times over, even though those rooms only get used once or twice a week. The committee rooms, they did it for the broadcast side, but every single light inside this room we created for them. Some of our customers, because we've been in the market for a while, US Senate, we lit the press briefing area at Camp David years ago. They did that with leftover funds from the new helicopter hangar they put in. Movies and TV shows, we generally don't find out about movies and TV shows that have used our products until after the fact. They rent lights through rental companies. We sell to the rental companies, and we don't always find out which products have been used on what things, but sometimes they're fun. This was a custom installation that we did in 2014, and this got us started into the sports market. So we relit the inside of Ski Dubai. It was a $1.4 million project. Ski Dubai, when they opened up, the snow was dull and gray, and they thought, oh, we need a lot more light. And they spent 9 years trying to find a lighting solution that would work for them. When I saw it, I said, you have enough light, it's the wrong color. It's not reflecting the light back. After 9 years of talking to experts, I was the first one to walk in there and say, you change the color of the light, you'll change the way the snow looks. So the team, we're looking for funding really to grow the team. So the sports market is our growth opportunity. We're looking for $5 million to really compete against the entrenched interests in the sports market. So it's really about the new hires. So we have a headhunter right now that's bringing in some great candidates for us, and the funding will help us get that sports market moving forward. This is how we would disperse that capital on a percentage basis. Really, new hires, inventory to address the needs of municipalities that have budget crisis issues. March 1st, they get the money, and they got to spend the money by April 1st. It's a pretty tight turnaround, so we have to have the inventory to meet those smaller customers' needs. So today, we've been completely bootstrapped. 10 years of shipping product. We did the corporate formation in 2004. I have $400,000 in the business. We've raised friends and family of $550,000. So this is really our big capital raise. We expect that in 2 to 3 years, we will be acquired. So that's our exit. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll be outside, so thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Lonnie Starmo. I'm CEO of Pops Diabetes Care. I'm a 30-year Medtronic executive and veteran. Medtronic, the biggest medical device company in the world, and I'm also a person living with diabetes. So Pops Diabetes Care, it's a diabetes management service based on a digital platform. Let's take a look first at the problem from an employer's point of view. Employers are our customers. They're paying $12,000 more per person with diabetes than a person without diabetes. It's always one of their top 3 healthcare costs. Why is that? Well, look at the problem from a person with diabetes perspective. Managing diabetes is a 24/7, 365 job. And with the medical experiences that we've been giving, it can be fatiguing. And you're expected to do it on your own. Maybe a doctor appointment once or twice a year for 20 minutes. So with this fatiguing every day, people check out. And when they check out, their blood sugars run high and it causes complications. Now, our competition would say the solution to this problem is let's have people wear more medical devices. Or let's put more monitors in place and technology and watch them over their shoulder, make sure they're doing their job. That sounds great if you're in the medical industry, but if you're a person with diabetes, you just want to live your life. POPs Diabetes Care is going the other direction. We're a simpler solution, the consumer experience for managing diabetes, based on the digital platform I mentioned earlier. So first, we have the most simple and portable way to know your glucose wherever you're at, and the most discreet way. Second, an app using the power of the phone to help coach you to the behavior modification that you want so that you can meet your diabetes goals. Every day, in a non-judgmental way, nobody watching over your shoulder, it's coming through your phone, and you don't have to wait till that doctor appointment 6 months from now to check on how you're doing something. And we finish out the platform with the virtual provider, which really allows remote prescription renewal, referrals to specialists when you need them. And if you want that real-time support, you can get it. My wife gets a notification whenever my blood sugar is too low. This is the platform. So this better experience should bring better outcomes. It does. We've proven it. We've had over 500 people use the system in clinical studies. In one study, a drop in A1C of 1.5 points. Now, you may not know what A1C is, but it's the clinical measure of blood sugar. And without explaining it any further, all I have to do is point you to the 70% less complications. That's what's driving the healthcare of our future and the cost. This study, along with 100% accuracy studies, 100% usability studies, are being published by third-party physicians at the Diabetes Technology Society next month to go prove our case. So this better diabetes experience leads to better outcomes, well-known leads to better cost, and that brings us to our business model. So we're a subscription service to self-insured employers, the companies I mentioned earlier that are spending $12,000 more per person with diabetes. Big opportunity for them to reduce those costs, and that's why they buy into the subscription service. Once the contract's in place, the employee simply downloads the app. Once they register, we send them everything they need directly to their home. They don't have to go to the doctor, they don't have to get a prescription, they don't have to worry about co-pays, they don't have to worry about pharmacies. All of it's a simple consumer experience. And for us, it's a very simple distribution model too. So if you don't know the self-insured market, it's a really large market. Just counting companies that are over 1,000 employees, there's 14,000 of them in the United States, and 10 million people with diabetes under their coverage. So we have a plan to get to $40 million revenue stream in 4 years. And we have multiple companies that are committed to launch with us January 1st. And what's more exciting is we have the benefits brokers who are already calling on all of these employers, biggest national brokers in the country, who are pulling our solution and bringing it to their clients because they're looking for something novel to bring into the space. Diabetes is a big problem. So we've been able to fully operationalize this platform in 3 years. We have 8 issued patents. We have the clinical studies that I referenced. We have customers set up. We have the American Diabetes Association Venture to Stop Diabetes Award. We're at the FDA right now. We're going through an interactive process with them, and we expect clearance before the end of the year. And we plan on launching on January 1st, and that's when we really start to go grow. We've been able to efficiently do all of that for less than $3 million of capital to date because we have such an experienced leadership team in place, a nice board around us, and also medical and business advisors. To date, we've raised $4 million of capital. We are right now in the middle of a $2 million convertible bridge, and that takes us to our Series B after we get a $1 million annualized revenue rate next year. And that's really when we can start to grow more exponentially. So if you're an investor or a strategic partner, we invite you to join us in changing the lives of people with diabetes, bringing them this simple consumer experience. And beyond that, taking a virtual care model to the developing world where we don't even have the primary care system built out yet. Thank you.
All right, so quick question. Who loves to randomly lose money? Really? Oh, okay, we have a taker. Fantastic. Hi, my name is Amy Wan, and I am co-founder and CEO of Sagewise. And the reason why I asked that question is because that is what is happening in the blockchain industry today. It's a very interesting thing. And why is that happening? So there's this piece of technology out there that's powering a lot of blockchains, and it's called smart contracts. Smart contracts, though, sometimes are not contracts, and oftentimes they're not very smart either. But smart contracts really are just if-then clauses. So if A happens, then B happens, right? But the problem with smart contracts is, well, there's quite a couple. A, you have a lot of coding errors and security vulnerabilities. Something we often say in the space is the last coding error, the last coding bug dies when the last user dies. You know, code is very static, but human situations are not, right? Oftentimes you have to have a lot of flexibility whenever you're undergoing a transaction. And so people genuinely will need to amend, modify, terminate their smart contracts. And thirdly, there genuinely will be disputes over the execution of certain smart contracts. If you look at the blockchain industry over the past couple years, this is, I think, the biggest problem that no one is talking about. In 2016, just from one smart contract hack alone, that of the Dow smart contract, over $50 million in value was lost. In 2017, that was over $1 billion in value was lost. And in 2018, we monitor the space pretty closely. We see a multi-million-dollar hack at least every 2 weeks, if not every couple of days. And so that's what we purport to solve. Sagewise is the safety net for smart contracts. And our mission really is twofold. A, we are trying to bring transactional confidence and certainty into the space, and B, we are trying to create a much more cost-effective new legal paradigm. So why do I talk so much about transactional confidence certainty? A couple decades ago, we had this new thing called the internet. And although you could buy and sell whatever you wanted on it, people were very afraid to make a purchase because they didn't actually know if they would get that widget that they purchased. That early internet had no transactional confidence or certainty, and it wasn't until e-commerce websites like Alibaba or Amazon or eBay, PayPal put into place reputation and dispute resolution mechanisms that people started to actually trust that they would get what they entered into a transaction for. Today, that ecosystem of transactional confidence and certainty does not exist on blockchain. And in order for blockchain to go mainstream, we have to instill that type of ecosystem. Everyone in the blockchain industry talks about trust, but today there is no trust because everyone's just randomly losing money. So what happens if you don't have Sagewise? Basically what is happening in the cryptocurrency industry today, which is your only two options are A, if your smart contract gets hacked for millions of dollars, you essentially have no recourse. You just have to sit there and grin and bear it and say to all your investors and your customers, sorry, that's blockchain. Or you can sit there and attempt to hack your own smart contract, which is not something I'd recommend because it's pretty hard to do that. And so, people just keep sitting there and losing money. Now, our founding team is entirely startup veterans. I started my career I'm a former attorney. I started my career in the federal government doing international trade and regulatory affairs. I've been general counsel of a fintech startup that did real estate crowdfunding. I've written the ICO guide for Bloomberg Law and been named by law.com and all these other, the ABA as a top legal tech entrepreneur to watch. My co-founder is an avid blockchain technologist. He's been in the space since 2013, founded the blockchain LA meetup, and he's built apps that have garnered over 5 million downloads and is also a veteran in the fintech space. We have a top-notch advisory team, including Colin Rule, who many in the world regard as the father of online dispute resolution. He is the former vice president of dispute resolution for eBay PayPal. Dr. Gillian Hadfield, who's a law professor over at USC, who advises the World Economic Forum on legal infrastructure, and Terrence Yang. In terms of competition, we are the only solution out there today that is blockchain agnostic and dispute resolution process agnostic. Everyone else is essentially building what I call a crowd jury, which is Uber of juries. Jurors, swipe left for party A, swipe right for party B, which I think doesn't really work very well. We do not solve disputes. We provide the software infrastructure that allows you to resolve disputes. We raised a $1.25 million seed round earlier this year. And for everyone who says that female entrepreneurs cannot raise VC capital, I did it while pregnant and having my first child, so I think it's completely doable. And we are, we're not raising capital right now. We are looking at it in the next couple months, but primarily what we're looking for now are really good partners who want to implement this kind of solution in the blockchain space. And I unfortunately have to go to LAX after this, but my colleague Dat, where are you? If you have questions, go find Dat. He has my business card, and Dat is helping us aggressively file lots of patents in the space because there will be a patent war. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. And first thing, hats off to Pepperdine for assembling a real group of rock stars, right? It's pretty intimidating to follow the crowd that we're following. So Soteria Battery Innovation Group, let's see if I can hang with the group here. 1 out of 10 million smartphones will spontaneously combust. Okay, Samsung lost $17 billion because they were 100 times worse than that. It was 1 out of 100,000 phones spontaneously combusted. They lost $17 billion of revenue. This may not sound like a big deal until you realize there's 10,000 batteries of that size in an electric vehicle, which means 1 out of 10,000 electric vehicles will spontaneously combust. It's happening at a rate of a handful a month now with Tesla, where the vehicle says, please pull over and get out of the vehicle. The driver pulls over and gets out of the vehicle spontaneously combusts, and Tesla gives them a new one. And I'm not lying. This is what's happening. Okay. Our goal is to eliminate fires in lithium-ion batteries forever. And, okay, I'll take it. It's a big goal, and the solution turns out to be not that difficult, but it's innovative and it requires a village, and so I'll talk about those two pieces. First, the innovation part. Every lithium-ion battery today, 2 minutes or 1 minute of technology, is 2 pieces of metal with some powders that hold lithium in between them and a piece of plastic sitting between those. When you get a fire, it's because there's some defect that pierces the piece of plastic. The metal drops the energy into the defect. It creates heat. That plastic shrinks, and the whole thing goes up in flames. Okay, so we're going to do 2 things different. That's the picture on the right, by the way. We're going to do 2 things different. The first is that piece of plastic. We're making it out of a polymer that's stable to 550 degrees C. It's never, ever going to melt or shrink. It's reinforced with Kevlar. Some of you guys know the brand name. The other thing is that the part that would dump the energy in, we're not going to make that out of plastic. So think potato chip bags. We're going to take plastic that's got a thin coating of metal on the surface, just enough to run the battery, use that instead of a thick foil of metal. And what happens is that when you get that defect, first, the separator never shrinks, and then when that energy starts to be dumped in, it's the metal that retreats. It breaks the circuit, stops the flow of energy, and it's a dud. It's a dud. You can stick a knife in these things, they don't do anything. And I had to remind myself to say this, because we're taking out all the metal, copper is expensive and heavy, so the solution is lower weight and less cost. Okay, so how are we going to get this to market? Because we want to change the whole world, not just a little bit of it. So we changed the whole world by getting the whole world involved. We're completely plagiarizing the Bluetooth business model. You don't know it, but when you buy a Bluetooth device, there's 30 chip manufacturers of those chips. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to license the technology broadly. Our goal is to get at least 5 licensees within the first 3 years.
of each piece of the technology. And then, because these cells will pass tests that every cell made today will fail, we're going to set this aggressive safety standard, pull together an industry consortium to approve the standard, and then use that to drive adoption by associating our brand with the cells that pass that standard. We started accepting memberships in the consortium around April 1st. We got 1 in the first quarter. And we have 30 now, include some names you might recognize, NASA, DuPont, Mercedes. What's beautiful is that each of these companies is doing the work for the development. So I'm just a big fat mouthpiece who stands up and tells people what's going on, but they're all doing the work. What we're giving them in return is very low royalty rates. So that brings me to the revenue model. 3 sources of revenue: consortium fees, that pays our lunch money. We're getting $600,000 of revenue this year, first year out, between the consortium fees and having sold 1 license. The second source of revenue is the license upfront fees. And then the third is what we're going to get our long-term return. It's the royalties. It amounts to about $50 per electric vehicle, 5 cents for a PC, and a penny per cell phone. Doesn't sound like much, but when you realize that when electric vehicles become prevalent, it gives us about a $4 billion a year royalty stream market size. And you got to remember, we don't have to do anything to get that, right? So we have to run a consortium, which is paying for itself because we've got lots of members. 2 co-founders, myself, I'm a 3-time entrepreneur. All the companies are still running. One of them has new management thanks to the downturn. A long time ago, I got a PhD in physics. I've forgotten all of it, but I have 200 patents, many billions of dollars of revenue from the things I've patented. Carl's 20 years in the automotive industry and twice the chief engineer at a lithium-ion battery company. We're looking at the moment for strategic partners, but also looking to assemble a syndicate of strategic investors who would benefit from our business being successful, both by the investment being successful, then also by their business participation. That's it. Thank you. I'll be at our booth when we're all done.
Hi, my name is Chris Hugman. I'm CEO of System Surveyor. We're based in Austin, Texas, and we're a business-to-business software as a service company, a SaaS company. System Surveyor is the digital map for the Internet of Things. Let me get the clicker and I'll show you what that looks like. The digital map for the Internet of Things. As you know, the Internet of Things can be anything. It could be the Ring doorbell or the Alexa smartphone at your home, or it could be the building automation. It can be the projector or the sound equipment or the security cameras on a school campus. The Internet of Things is exploding, and Forbes says it's growing by 20% per year and will be a $9 trillion market. What System Surveyor does is it takes the current method of deploying the Internet of Things from paper into a digital format. Now, there was a comment earlier that said if my 11-year-old can understand it, it's a good business model. Well, I contend that an 11-year-old can understand that it's a good thing to take things from a paper environment where you go from paper to spreadsheets into a digital environment. In fact, our customers are telling us that they're getting a 20 or 40% return, a 20x return every month by doing this process. They're selling more, they're delivering better service, and they're more efficient in their internal operations. And I know because I sat in the chair of the guys that were doing this, the system integration companies that you call to come out to your business to install these systems, to plan and to help with that. And that was my job. I had started a company there in Austin, Texas, from 0 to $20 million with a couple of partners. And this is what we did. And this is what led me to System Surveyor. Here's how the business model works. System Surveyor is really creating an ecosystem up and down the distribution model. First, you have the product manufacturers. Those are the people that are creating the Internet of Things. It could be a security camera, it could be a projector, it could be a lighting device. Those are the things that need to get pushed out to market into the buildings where they serve. The system integrator, those are the folks that deliver these things to the market, the companies that are installing them, running the trucks out and servicing them, and then technology managers. Pepperdine University has a staff of technology managers that manage the security systems here, as well as the audiovisual and many other types of systems. And so those are the 3 markets that we serve. In my case, I came from the system integration market. Those 2 are paying us on a monthly basis to subscribe to our service, and the product manufacturers are talking to us, soliciting us, because they want to put their products within our platform so that we can help them sell them. Where we are today is we launched in the fourth quarter of 2015. We've, with almost no sales and marketing, virtually one person, and mostly word of mouth, we've grown to 1,000 paying customers and substantial and growing monthly revenue. And with a little bit of funding, we plan to move it on. And the beauty of the SaaS model is it's a recurring revenue model. And so when we have a company that comes to us and they have 10 seats on an account, next year they're going to have 13. The next year they're going to have 16. So most of the growth that you see out here in the out years, that's an organic growth number. And we can demonstrate that to you further. Further, a very efficient customer acquisition model. As I mentioned, we spent very little on marketing so far. We need to ramp that up. We need to get more aggressive in the market. And we think we can provide some very compelling economics. And if you're familiar with the SaaS market, the valuation multiples in SaaS, software as a service, are on revenue, not on bottom line EBITDA. Very compelling. The leadership team includes, of course, myself. I've been a member of a number of startups with an engineering background, started my own company. I've sat in the chair of my customers. Maureen Carlson is a rock star in the Austin VC market. She's solicited by VCs within the Austin market to help grow portfolio companies and correct strategic errors. We have our CTO is in the witness protection program right now. He's working currently for another company, but also full-time with us in the background, and will join us in January. And then Carl Scheibel's a sales advisor, has helped grow multiple companies into the Fortune 500 fastest growing list. And so we're fortunate to be working with him. So the funding that we're seeking today is a $1.5 million bridge round. I call it a seed round. We're almost halfway through that right now. We'll have that wrapped up by the end of the year. And the intention is that next year that we will move into a Series A once we begin the marketing and the sales and then some further development within our platform. So that's the story of System Surveyor. I would welcome a conversation with anyone here that might be interested in the SaaS space in a compelling offering. We've received over 5 industry awards for the innovation that we brought to the space, and we're creating a brand new category within that ecosystem that I described. So thank you for your time.
My name is Andrew Silver. I'm with Tango Networks. We develop a technology to basically take your mobile phone and have it controlled by an enterprise. You may think, why would you want this? Well, this is really the problem that companies have faced for many, many years. If you look at the problem from an industry perspective, companies have always had the ability to control their desk phones. When you go to work for a company, you're given a desk phone, you're given a phone that sits in the office, and you're able to control that. The company can control that phone. All the calls are tracked, monitored, they can be recorded, and subject to the corporate policies. That has continued throughout the industry, even today. I'm sure everybody in here has a desk phone with that number. When it comes to internet access, the same thing. If you're connected right now to the Wi-Fi at Pepperdine, all of your internet is going through the corporate Pepperdine network, and they have firewalls and controls, and they can control that. But to this day, the only industry that hasn't been deregulated in that manner is the mobile industry. If you think about it, it's just crazy. These phones today are all consumer phones that companies use, and all they get to do is aggregate the bills together, and they don't get to control the services. So what Tango has done is we've essentially developed a technology that enables companies to truly take control of this device for all of the voice communications, all of the messaging communications, and all of the data communications, and put that for the first time into the hands of the enterprise without a whiz-bang app that you have to put on the phone. The trick is, and basically the basis of all of our patents, is that we take the app out of the phone, and we put that app into the network, into what's essentially a communications control platform, and that's what we sell. That communications control platform in the cloud enables corporations to control that mobile phone, and it enables them to connect to the infrastructure they already have. their voice communication networks from Cisco, from Avaya, from all of these different companies to connect to enterprise applications that they've already been using, like workflow integration, call recording systems, Salesforce.com, all sorts of CRM applications, and even distracted driving, so that when employees are driving on the road, their mobile phone will be subject to policy so they can't access the phone when they're moving. So just a brief overview of the market. Everybody knows that mobility usage and mobility spend is going through the roof. Most companies today find that their employees are just not held within the confines of the building. They can control the desk phones, they can control the data inside the office, they can't control it outside. And 451 Research, which is a well-known research company, came to Tango, and we talked about how we're really moving into this what's called the second wave of mobility. The first wave of mobility was really about consumer phones. Now we're finally moving back into the control, security, compliance mechanisms that corporations need so that they can track, monitor, record mobile phones just like those desk phones. So what we are announcing today, and this is really, we completed the acquisition of a company last week. And when we actually made these charts, we weren't sure if it was going to go through, and it did. That is going to enable us to launch the world's first global private mobile network. And what that means is that now companies will be able to have their mobile phones connected anywhere in the world to their private network. When they turn on their mobile phone, it's no longer going to say AT&T, it's going to say Boeing, because you're going to be on the Boeing network. And Boeing is going to be able to control not only the calls, but the mobile data and the texting, so that I'll be able to send and receive text messages to my corporate Boeing phone number, and I'll be able to have those tracked and monitored in the system. This essentially enables a whole host of possibilities, and obviously I'm just giving you a little brief explanation. How do we sell this technology? Like everybody else, it's a SaaS-based recurring model. It goes in the cloud. We sell it as a monthly recurring service, and it's sold through resellers, systems integrators, and service providers. So yes, we are becoming a mobile operator, but it's also sold through service providers, and I'll show you some of them that sell it. We also have strategic partners with leading technology vendors, I was mentioning like Cisco. All right, I got to move here. So founded in 2005, our first patents filed. The first launch was on Sprint. It's called Sprint Mobile Integration. It was later launched on AT&T, called AT&T Office Direct, on T-Mobile, called Office Connect. In Europe, in EE, which is now British Telecom, it's called EE Freedom. In the Netherlands, it's called KPN Vamo. And these are example companies that use the technology today. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, all the traders use this technology so that their calls are tracked and monitored and use their corporate identity. Wynn Resorts, they own casinos in Las Vegas. The Dutch police force, all of them use that. But the real announcement for today is that we are launching, we've acquired Symmetric Telecom, and now we are going to become the service provider to enable these companies to be able to be their own service providers. My partner, Doug Bartek, and I are the two co-founders of the company. Doug is an experienced entrepreneur. You can see up here, he's been in this industry for quite a long time, a high-tech CEO for many, many companies. And his last venture, before I kind of coaxed him out of retirement, was the launch of Microtune, which went public on NASDAQ. And that's where we are today. So the company has raised around $85 million. It takes a lot of money to be a service provider and in the service provider industry. But we are underway now with the acquisition behind us, and we're raising $6.5 million to basically take Symmetric Telecom global. Business plan is $10 million next year, and that's a bit of a conservative number, but everybody wants to do a conservative approach, and the growth rate is huge, and the margins are extremely high. And that's it. Doug and I are here to speak to you.
Hi, so my name is Jeff Baldwin. I'm here from Alabama as well, so the South is being well represented today. What I wanted to do is start off by letting you guys know what Unicus actually stands for. Unicus is Latin for unique and only one. And that's the reason that we started this company, is because we believe that we are unique to ourselves and not to all those other people that want to pretend like they are us. And that's what we've been trying to take care of, is the lost identities. In the last number of years, everybody's seen the statistics and probably have been impacted by them in the fact that 1 in 3 consumers, probably a great number of people in here, have had credit cards hacked or accounts stolen or potentially IRS issues because of people that have been stealing your identity. So that's what UnicusID is working to alleviate. So what we do, this is kind of under the hood type thing. Over here, we take what's become ubiquitous to pretty much everybody, a mobile device and their biometric. We use our patented process to enroll people so that people can identify that you are who you say you are. And on the far side over there, that's where we integrate with just about any interface, corporate interfaces, particular things on the financial market and the legal market and different areas of that nature, as we do the interface from that standpoint. And what does that do is that we take biometrics and rather than just validate, because I can validate anybody's phone and say I'm who it is, I can say who it is, but we authenticate it. Because if you leave your phone on the desk and it's unlocked and I pick it up, I become you. So what Unicus does is we use our process to enroll people, to authenticate them. And then we tie that into the organizations that we work with to identify that when somebody's trying to do a transaction, it's actually that person. It's you doing the transaction and not somebody else. So what would wind up happening is, let's say you're at home and you're doing an Amazon purchase. When you hit order, your phone would light up with our app that says you need to take a selfie to biometrically authenticate yourself. If you're not the right person, it's going to say no. If you are the right person, it's going to go through. It's really that simple. It seems really, really simple because that's what we've been trying to do to make it simple. Everybody wants to make things complex, and everybody fights that. So what we've been doing is trying to simplify it so it's a very easy process to go through. And what really makes this different is most of what we've been doing over the last number of years is developing our IP portfolio. We have 12 issued patents. Well, there's 12 issued here. We had 1 issue this week, so we now have 13 issued patents. And we're also in the international market as well. So what we've been doing is groundswelling to present to the opportunity so when we can come out in the market, we were kind of stealth, but this wonderful opportunity is kind of taking that away. I think people are going to know now. So we're going to be out there and we're going to be in the market for a lot of things. As Chris said, the Internet of Things market is going to be $9 trillion. And one of the use cases that we're going to be building our revenue on, which is it's kind of a captive audience. It's actually the parole system. And they came to us and they said, hey, we have an issue. And we have the issue, the fact that we've got guys on parole, they're wearing ankle bracelets, and they're losing their jobs. And also, by the way, the domestic violence people, they're having an issue because the victims don't know where the parolee is, and it's making them crazy. So what can you guys do to help us? So we have it set now. So the organization, the court system, and then the defendant, or the offender, however you want to say that, the badge is the parole officer, and the I is the third-party person, a victim, so to speak. So if a victim wants to know where the offender is, she can actually text a number. The defendant has to validate that he has to authenticate. What that does is it tells her a geotag of where he is. So what we've got is the ability for the parole officer, the corrections facility, or the victim to get the defendant to identify where he is on a given day. So there's a couple things that people don't really think about. If you are on parole and you've been doing everything you're supposed to be doing and you have an ankle bracelet on, if you try and go get a job, most people won't hire you. You've got an ankle bracelet on. You're a criminal. I'm not going to hire you. Or you're going to scare my customers. So what we're doing is taking the stigma away. So you can stay on parole, and when your phone activates, you just authenticate. You are where you're supposed to be. It geotags to your parole officer, and everybody's fine. And the customers in the store don't recognize that they've had somebody who had an infraction standing right next to them because they're just using their phone. And rest assured, the people that need to be on the ankle bracelets will stay on the ankle bracelets. So what we're talking about is
the market that we're moving into, and we've just signed some contracts in the state of Georgia. We're working on some contracts in the state of Alabama. And what we're going to do is move towards about 75,000 users by the end of a 12-month period. This is biometric security as a service, so it's a recurring rate. We run about $3.40 a day per user. So you can see the numbers kind of ramp up a little bit. This is less than 1% of the market, and we're going to be moving down towards that. So what this is everybody's got an idea, and it's just a matter of which one that we prosecute first and foremost. And the patents foundation that we built up, we can address virtually any of these use cases. It's just a matter of priority. And we picked the parole systems because it generates a great deal of revenue and allows us to start focusing on the other ones. So we've actually done the friends and family to tune of about $720,000. We've had no other investment. And so we put this slide up here because they said, what do you want? And we're like, well, we kind of want to move forward, but we don't want to, as the panel said, we don't want to move forward unless it's absolutely the right mix and the right combination. So we'd love to discuss this with some folks, see what use cases that we can do, and then moving along from there. And we've got a really experienced group of guys, just about 100 years worth of experience from different backgrounds coming together to make all this happen. So that is UnicusID, and this is who we are. Thank you.
Thank you all. You know, the 14 other companies really give me just great pause to consider how wonderful the entrepreneurial spirit is in this country. And they all deserve a great round of applause. And I'm so impressed on behalf of my partner, Julie, to be included in that group. It's really quite an honor. And it brings me back to the movie Night Shift, which was a Michael Keaton movie. There are many ideas. And I remember him talking into the radio. He would record his ideas, and the one that he had was feed mayonnaise to tuna fish. What a great idea. Does it happen? We don't know. So we're VFT Solution, and we have a great idea. It's based upon 35 plus years of each of us being anti-piracy attorneys for some of the biggest telecoms in the world. OTT is now where it's heading. Everything's online. People who have phones, especially millennials, Gen X, and everybody else, is watching on their phone, on their mobile device, and they're watching it quicker and for shorter durations. Attention span is just getting shorter. So linear TV, which is cable and satellite, are under great pressure. And I always meet at our clients and I say, I hope you're here in 10 years because they're under great pressure. It's a great secret. The other great secret is live streaming media. What's live streaming media? Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, Google, live social media streaming. What happens is, with one click of a phone, if I have my phone, I can be a streamer in a concert, or I can stream a movie in high def to 1 or 10 million people instantly. We've seen streams grow from 1 to 4 million in less than a minute because it's tethered to social media. It is incredible, it's viral. What does it mean? It means that content owners, from your Disneys to your Foxes to your BT to your movie studios, are having tough choices to make. Do we want, for example, in the pay-per-view industry to charge $100 per event and sell it to 3 million people? Or do we want to charge $5 and sell it to 100 million people? Well, that's great. That's a great story, Wayne. What does it mean? Well, Steve Jobs once said, and it was written about iTunes, don't let the album be the enemy of the song. The day that you can force consumers, because they can vote now with their phone about what they're going to see live on their phone, is they want the song. They don't want to be forced to buy the album. So VFT was built on that concept. And this is how it works. You have a streamer at a concert in New York. Boom, 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 boom. It's like War Games. Remember that Matthew Broderick movie? Boom, 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 boom. And you see these networks go up incredibly fast. We call it nanopiracy. It spreads virally. Most companies out there in the market, it's Mark Monitor, which is a Clarivate company, it's Cisco, other people like that, seek to take the source down, knock it down, and get it offline. What don't they do? They don't address the consumer. They don't address the viewer. So when you step on mud, the mud goes sideways. Nobody's talking to the viewers go elsewhere, look for another stream, because they like it. So what can be done? Well, we can get in there and message in real time and have a conversation. And you can't always hit somebody with a switch in the head. You need to have a conversation saying, hey, maybe you didn't know it was illegal, but we can get it for you legally here. Here's your get out of jail free card, and go get it from Comcast or Disney or Netflix, and here's how you do it. And that's what we can do. It's a big market, but we educate, we disrupt and deter, and most importantly, is redirect and monetize. Tell them where they can get it, because most people will, if they find it valuable, pay for it. They just don't know where to find it online. Big news for us this week. We are a self-funded company to the tune of about $3 million, Julie and myself, and we're proud of that. We're proud of our 3 patents. Steve Hasid is here, our patent attorney. He's got some very broad language that he's got approved, so our patents are very valuable in our mind to a lot of industries, including what we do. The UFC, who's been a long-term client of our brick and mortar business, signed a 1-year deal with us just recently. We did some studies on the Mayweather-McGregor fight in August of 2017, and Dr. Nelson Granados, I don't know if Nelson's in the room, hi Nelson, wrote a great article based on our data. 131 million people watched that on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube for free. That was a $3 billion plus loss in one night. In some ways, the social media companies, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Periscope, Twitter, it's almost the largest theft of intellectual property, knowingly or unknowingly, in the history of mankind. And Todd Manzer, one of our business evaluators and gives us the valuations on our business, can talk to you about just the size and the scope and the potential clients we have. So we're a little company from the Hudson Valley of New York, and we wanted to conquer the world, and the UFC agreed with us. We took that 131 million number, and last weekend, and this is new information for everybody, we reduced that piracy by 91% by the insertion of messaging. We also said, where do you want to go? Send them to the legal spots. We knocked down the average viewing time. We knocked down how many people were on per stream, and it seems to be a great head start into the industry. We've piloted and worked with a number of these major companies who are slowly coming to the conclusion that it's not just some guy shooting a video of his daughter's concert and nobody's watching. Billions. And like I said, we've identified interest to us, 700,000 streams to date, 10 billion viewers, and our patent is how we identify them immediately. So we are a business to consumer, a business to business, because we can redirect to these companies, as well as we can sell to the other competitors in our area because our patent allows us to give the URLs to take them down. But our real model, based upon advice from one of our advisors, Todd McCormick, whose dad formed IMG, and another one who's Ed Gorin, the president of the original Fox Sports, member of the Broadcast Hall of Fame, are all our advisors. And so they know what's coming. And so what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for help in now saying, let's scale the technology up, although we're pretty much there. Marketing, we've marketed pretty well for 2 country kids, but we can always use some help and some money to fund that, or a good partner. But right now we're starting to hit the revenue. So I wanted to say thank you to the very, very wonderful group at Pepperdine. Amy, you've been wonderful. All the people have taken the time to listen to us today, and we are honored and truly humbled to have been included in this really fabulous day. So we're available, we're outside, we'd love to give you a demo, and remember, if you're pirating, we can actually get in the room and say, hey, Craig, why are you watching this broadcast? You're supposed to be an ethical guy. Thank you very much, everybody.